Okay, when I first showed up, this is what I saw. It was a lawn in which the water had been turned off and it was already going into decline. It was patched out. The parts that were green, though, were an invasive species, was Bermuda grass for the most part. So we did decide to use Roundup to get rid of it quickly. We actually had to start irrigating it and fertilize the existing old lawn in order to get it actively growing in order for the Roundup to be effective. I like to lay the meadow out on site, not just from a plan. That way I can adjust the spacing. So here you see the pots being laid out. And I also conceive of the pathways as well. So you can see where we've left the pathways open. That helps facilitate the planting, and we plant the pathways at the very end. And here you see the plants going in the ground. So we didn't do any kind of special soil preparation whatsoever. We basically chose plants that were adapted to this kind of soil. But when we were finished, as you can see, we did apply a bark mulch to the surface. We initially put down about an inch of bark mulch. Then we did the planting. Then after we cleaned up, because we basically, in planting small pots, you don't generate that much soil. So we basically lost the excavated soil from digging the holes and just sort of spread it out over the top of the surface because it didn't affect the grade all that much. And then when we were finished, we added another inch of bark mulch. So this is just a month after planting, and you can see that the plants are starting to get their feet in the ground. You can already see that the plants are off to a good start. When we first plant the plants, we do an application of fertilizer, generally one that's high in nitrogen, because if you want grass to grow, you give it nitrogen. So we use Turf Supreme that has an analysis of 16:6:8, and we put down about 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, and we do that every 30 days until the new plants are filled in. So this is now just about 2 months after planting, and you can see there's already quite a bit of color in the landscape, and you can really see it starting to fill in. So we water regularly and thoroughly in order to get the new plants established. The number of waterings corresponds to the temperatures and what's going on with soil moisture. We don't want the new plants to dry out, and we don't want to drown them either. So we find just the right balance based on the soil and the weather conditions at the time. Newly planted grasses, especially if there's a heat event, will need a little bit of extra water so that they don't suffer in the event of high temperatures when the plantings are young. 1 year later, the garden is, as you can see, completely filled in. And the pathways are filled in. You now know where the pathways are. The pathways are mowed maybe 4 times a year, 3 times a year. And then, of course, we also interplant these gorgeous little walk-on meadow sweeteners like this Falkia repens with its gorgeous little white flowers. The meadow is now established, and it's a permanent addition to the garden. Beautiful, sustainable, and pretty much low maintenance. You can add more color to the meadow as you see fit, or make edits. Some of these plants are right where we put them, and others have moved around. They've reseeded, and we'll just make a decision if we like it where it's showed up, and if we don't, we'll edit it. So that's the fun of meadow gardening.